Hello, everyone, and welcome to the F1 Downcast. With you, as always, I'm your co-host, Kalen.
And I'm Tyler.
And Brazil, oh, it never disappoints. It
Never.
never disappoints. Brazil, you can always count on. The weather's going to change some stuff. The track itself just lends to racing and incidents and drama
And upsets.
and deciding championships. It decided a championship last year when Max had a great drive back to win the race. It decided the championship probably this year with
Lando.
Oscar. 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 Ugh. Wrecks out in the sprint race. And then a bit of a harsh penalty, but it's borderline. And put yourself in those situations. Sometimes those happen. And
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not 100% sure I agreed with the penalty, but I also don't disagree with it, if that makes any sense.
it makes total sense. I've seen a lot of other voices in the space. Is it a fair penalty? Is it not fair? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, the call was made because of the rules, and to
Yeah.
the T, he was the person that caused it.
Yeah, I think in that situation it's always going to be hard to make that move without contact.
Yeah, I
And
mean, Kimmy definitely had a part to play in it, though.
he did,
Like,
and
because he had more than enough room on the outside to get over more.
but current rules say if you're ahead, it's yours. And he was ahead. So it's his. It it is calls like that I kind of hope they address a little bit more in the rules of like this is the problem. And I mean, I actually blame the drivers on this. The drivers wanted the nuance in the rules to go away. They wanted things to be more clear cut. Well, now they're clear cut and they suck. So maybe some nuance was okay. And I think that's the problem. Yes, I understand the consistency of black and white rules, but sometimes black and white rules really suck because they don't allow you to take into account individual situations.
Yeah.
It's, hey, you're ahead at the apex. That's your corner. That is what it is. And it is what it is. Like, there's not much that is going to happen about that. But the fact is, Oscar ruined himself on the sprint race. Just unlucky, very unlucky.
Yeah. It was
Because,
very much just like a just slightly off the line kind of
well, I
thing.
mean, honestly, it would have been fine. Like, I don't know if you got to see some of the onboard stuff, but Kimmy reported it right as it happened. Lando goes through a big puddle on one of the curbs. Like, Lando really got to the inside, kicked up a bunch of water. Kimmy's like, ooh, kicked up a bunch of water. He got hit by it. And then the next three people to hit that curb hit the wall.
Crashed in
So,
succession.
yeah. So it was just unlucky because if you're the second guy through there, you're probably okay. But because of how much water got splashed up and where it was, it just made a curb that they were able to take the last lap into a curb you couldn't take on that lap. And honestly, Kimmy would have probably wrecked too, but he didn't touch the curb because he got splashed with water right before the apex and it made him drift a little bit wide. If he doesn't have that little bit of a drift, he probably hits it too.
That would have been crazy to have four cars crash out
Yeah.
in the same corner at the same time. Not even related to them fighting or anything.
Uh, uh, And that's the fun of a damp track that doesn't need wet tires. Is there's going to be some spots on the track that create problems, as poor Gabby Bortoletto found out, but we'll talk about that later. But I mean, all right, I've given Lando a lot of crap. But the fact is,
I've been waiting for this. Let's go. Give it to me
whatever
nice.
broke in Lando to make him really look internally and fix some things, it finally happened. My biggest criticism was about Lando was that he blames everything on everybody else. And something made him look inside and just focus on Lando, because he's not whining as much about other people as much. He's not whining about Max. He's not complaining about the attention other people are getting. And he's finally starting to drive like the Lando that we used to know before he became George Russell.
I think it's because he's got a beautiful Portuguese girlfriend now. And at about the time that she came into his life again, because it's like an ex-girlfriend that got back together, at about the time that they reconvened earlier this season is when he started really picking his racing up a bit. And then I'm sure there's
she probably yelled at him when he tried to talk bad about Max. Like, that's our hero here. Fuck you.
I definitely feel like that. Like, and it's not that, you can make a bunch of vulgar jokes about it. That's not my place. But I do think having like somebody solid to come home to probably helps a lot in that regard.
Or maybe just a distraction. I think Lando started really feeling the pressure, especially when Max. I think Max being not as fully competitive right now helps. I don't know if Lando would be so relaxed if it was Max he was purely fighting. If Max is in 15 points, I don't think Lando is this chill. But I think both he and Max are aware that, like, the Red Bull car is good, but it's not. I thought Max said something really interesting this weekend, which was, if this was last year or the year before and it was his points gap, he'd think, yeah, I can get this. But it's not as simple this year. And it's so hard to tell where they're going to be good, where they're going to be bad. Even this weekend, they had a really tough weekend with that. So he doesn't fully believe in the championship battle. And I think if he doesn't believe in it, for sure Lando is finally relaxing. And I do think that is part of it. Because I think, and fairly, I like Oscar, but I don't think Oscar is faster on pace than Lando. I don't. I just think he's been mentally better for most of the season than Lando. Yeah. But now that Lando's fixing that, he's showing that his true pace is a little bit more than Oscar, which is the way it should have been all along. I don't know if he'd be that cool if it was Max, but look, the fact is Lando's doing what he needed to do. He needed 2 dominant weekends at tracks Oscar hasn't had the best record at. And he's done that. In both those weekends, Max wasn't able to be in the position, or in the case of Mexico, to have the pace to beat him.
Yeah.
And in both cases, Max ended up third, which gives him a nice cushion to Max. Now he basically has a 2-race cushion to Max now, with 3 races to go.
Yeah, and I mean, if you really look at it, Oscar could win he could win every single race the next 3 or 4 races.
It's 3 races and a sprint.
Yeah, but he'd have to win the sprint and the 3. He'd have to win the sprint and the 3 GPs. As long as Lando finishes second in all of those races, Oscar still can't come back and take the championship.
For the sake of a championship battle, I would love it to be closer going into Abu Dhabi, but nothing Oscar has done convinces me that'll be the case.
No, and the only way I could really see that being the case is if Lando crashed out and DNF'd.
Which at Vegas is a possibility because that's a very tough track. And tire issues at Qatar could be a thing. Qatar is
Yeah,
notorious for destroying tires because it's a track made for motorcycles, not for cars.
I would be more. I'm more likely to believe that if Lando DNF'd, it would be because of a reliability issue.
At Vegas, I could see him wrecking. Vegas has a lot of long straights and tight corners like Baku, and a lot of chance. Even if it's not your fault, a lot of chances of getting in accidents. And let's not forget George Russell is really good around Vegas and also really good at being a wrecking ball. So the possibility of trying to fight George for a win and George using the wall as his friend is there.
Are you
'Cause-
saying that there's already an Arvid Lindblad in Formula One currently?
No, because Arvid's likable.
Touche, touche. I'll take that.
So speaking of Arvid and Red Bull in general, got a few things to talk about with in regards to Red Bull. One, Verstappen's fight back from pit lane to the podium,
Class, such class.
especially because he had a safety car go against him instead of for him. Last year, he got kind of lucky in the. I don't want to call it lucky because it was a gamble that he and the Alpines took of staying out in a downpour on used intermediate tires and holding on for dear life, hoping for the red flag that they eventually got. I don't want to call it luck because it's really hard to hold on to a car in those situations, and nothing about that is lucky. That's a skill. But this time around, he didn't get that benefit. In fact, I would argue that the safety cars hurt him because it gave him less time to overcome gaps. And one of the safety cars made him go off strategy because he picked up a puncture from debris very early on, which it did take him off the hard tires that he was on, that he was surprisingly fast on, but it made Red Bull completely change their strategy from what they were going to do. He was going to run long, do a two stop on hard medium. He ended up having to do a two stop and really a three stop if you count that extra pit stop. So it was just measured impressive. I think that's the thing about it that impressed me is he didn't make a move the entire time that seemed desperate to me. Everything was just measured and controlled. Him and GP
During
again.
the sprint, GP got a little spicy, and I
Well,
loved
he
it.
even got a little spicy in the race where he's telling Max, P2's on if you don't destroy the tires first. Thought that was a little cheeky thing, but like you, every time this year we see something like this, it's just like, man, how many more words do I have to describe this dude and how great he is and how great what he's done this year is? And I mean, let's be real. If Red Bull doesn't come in for that last pit stop and they try to go long on that tires, there is a genuine chance Max might have won that race and been the first person ever to go from pit lane to victory in F1. Like, I still question that strategy because it looked like he might have had the pace to have a chance to hold off Lando. And even if he didn't, there was such a big gap to second place that I think he gets second. Came a couple laps from getting second anyway, but I mean, regardless, look, you get to the podium from pit lane, you did something good.
Absolutely.
And I mean, he was making passes on people before the safety car even happened. So he had already caught up to the back of the pack and was making passes before the safety car. He was up to 13th before the safety car. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Then he had to drop back to the back of the field because of the puncture under the safety car and drove through the field again a second time. That's wild to me.
I definitely don't think it helped Yuki at all.
Oof.
Well, Yuki isn't even helping Yuki, but that definitely isn't helping Yuki.
A lot of things this weekend didn't help Yuki.
And I mean, I guess before we go deeper into the Yuki side of it, we really didn't touch on the fact that, like, initially Max qualified 16th. He didn't even make it out of Q1.
Yes, on pace. The first time in Max's
Yeah.
entire career, that Max has missed out on getting to Q2 on pure pace. He's missed out because of red flags, yellow flags, crashing. Random things have happened that have led to that. But there has never been an incident of just pure pace. Max wasn't fast enough.
Yeah. That's just absolutely insane. And the crazier part is that both Racing Bulls qualified in top 10.
Well, and the crazier part is then it comes out afterwards that it's kind of Yuki's fault. And some people who, especially those who don't watch the F1 TV broadcast, might not know how Max qualifying 16th is Yuki's fault. So after the sprint, Red Bull were desperate trying to figure out the setup. And Yuki Tsunoda was very adamant about a setup he was trying to use with a change to the suspension geometry. He was so adamant that Red Bull decided to do it with both cars.
Was Yuki already running that?
A form of it. He was pretty close to it.
Okay,
And
so that's why he also didn't get a pit lane start then.
yeah.
Also,
Yuki
Max took a new power unit too, so
yeah, but he didn't. Part of why Yuki didn't have to do the pit lane start is that's already basically what Yuki was doing. And they switched Max to it, and Max had the worst qualifying he's ever had in F1. That to me, that's the last straw with Yuki. I think that's it.
yeah,
Because they trusted him. They gave trust to Yuki. They adopted his setup for Max. And it was a failure. And now that lets the team know he's not good at technical feedback.
which is highly important if you're a
Yeah.
top team.
You're useless as a driver if you can't do feedback, especially if you're not a rookie. Yuki's biggest selling point is his experience. But if that experience means you still can't give technical feedback, then maybe it's not that the car is geared towards Max. Maybe you don't know how to set up a car. Because Max tried to use his setup and was horribly slow. And it's not like Yuki did good in that setup. He qualified last.
Behind Gabby, who didn't get to participate.
Yeah. It's just...
it makes me curious about how long the writing's been on the wall for him, because I saw something last week basically saying that Honda wants to put Yuki in IndyCar.
Well, yeah, that's the plan. If he gets let go from Red Bull, they're going to put him in an IndyCar.
But for that to come out means that the conversations are probably pretty in-depth at this point. So the writing's got to be on the wall for Yuki. Like, he has to know.
Well, and I mean, looking at this in context, Max had a car that could win. You basically, by them listening to Yuki and it going wrong, they assured Max can't win the title. It was a long shot to begin with, but that qualifying assured Max can't win the title. And if you are the reason Max loses his last shot at the title, I don't see anyone in that team making excuses, including Laurent Mekies.
And I think Laurent Mekies' vouched about as much as he possibly can for Yuki, and for Yuki to just blow it up in Becky's face, kind of.
Well, and especially with how good Hadger and Lawson have been. Especially Hadger, but even Lawson had a pretty good weekend. Granted, he did the usual and got into some kind of contact with somebody, but he's always been feisty, so we're used to that. But Hadger has been incredible. And that's not helping. Because Hadger's been good. Lawson's been good. Yes, maybe there. And the fact is, with somebody who's been around as long as Yuki, there's no point in putting him back in the sister team. Why? That's a development team.
Yeah. They have talent coming up that they could easily put in there.
Yeah. I remember a while ago when Max Verstappen got promoted to Red Bull. This was said by Helmut Marko, and he said it multiple times since when they've replaced drivers. The criteria is, can you win a race in this car? If they don't believe you can win a race, then you don't have a place at Red Bull. There is not a single ounce of my body that believes Yuki Tsunoda is capable of winning an F1 race. Definitely. I would bet on Lance Stroll to win an F1 race before I would bet on Yuki Tsunoda to win one. Because at least I've seen Lance fight to podiums occasionally. I've never seen Yuki do that. I saw Lance put a Williams on a podium. I can't see Yuki put a Red Bull on a podium. I like Yuki. I do, but whether or not somebody's a good guy doesn't make them a good driver. That's the Daniel Ricciardo story in a nutshell for the end of his career. We all loved Danny, but he wasn't performing. And it was painful to see. And it's the same thing with Yuki. I like Yuki. Yuki seems like someone who'd be a nice guy. But he's just not cutting it.
Mm-mm. Not even close to cutting it. When you can be a nice guy, like Danny was, but being a nice guy isn't going to win anything.
Because he didn't score in the sprint, right?
Yuki?
Yeah.
Fuck no.
Yeah, I didn't think so. No, he wrecked, didn't he? Or did...
I don't remember.
No, that was practice that he wrecked. He wrecked in practice.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna look up the sprint, but I don't think
the race was so wild. I forgot half the fucking sprint already. Minus the Gabby wreck.
Yeah, no, Yuki finished P13.
So the fact is, he's still below both Racing Bulls guys in points. He's still below Lance
qualified.
Stroll most.
Yeah, and he qualified in P18. So like
he's in the 20s in points.
Yeah.
He's over 300 points behind Max.
Yeah, and the points that he does have, like 95% of them are from Racing Bulls, not even from Red Bull.
He's over 300 points behind Max. Think of that. Just think about that. There is no team in the world that would be acceptable. Even Aston Martin.
I mean, hell, Lawson's got 36 points.
That's what I'm saying.
Yuki's only 8 points behind Lawson, so that's a sprint, but still, like...
But Lawson's the guy he replaced.
Yeah.
Who struggled after that replacement to get his feet back. Lawson's basically only had half a season to make those points because he had a really tough time after getting dropped down. It wasn't instant that he got back to racing good. There's just no excuse for it. Yes, that car is not good. But that car is not 30 points bad.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe Red Bull has one of the slowest cars. I'm sorry, I'm just not accepting that.
No. Yeah,
I'm
I
not.
mean, there's no reason to accept it.
If that's the if that car is really that slow, we need to anoint Max as the greatest person to ever race a car in the history of the world to be able to make sometimes a second difference a lap in a car. And look, I love Max and I think he's great, but he's not that great. He's not make up a second a lap great.
4 of the 6 rookies have more points than Yuki.
And one of them doesn't race anymore.
I didn't count him. That would have been 7.
It's basically the Alpine
And Gabby.
in Gabby, which is kind of surprising, but
That Sauber car has been relatively.
yeah. And he doesn't have the third place that
unstable.
Hulkenberg did to crawl out of that points hole.
Yeah.
But like also, you're being outscored by Nico Hulkenberg. Nothing against Nico, but who has Nico as a top driver? No one. Nico just got his first podium of his whole career this year. Like,
That's
Yuki
true.
doesn't have a podium. I can't get over that. He doesn't have a podium in a Red Bull.
Which is crazy.
It's crazy because there was a race that neither McLaren's finished and he still didn't get one. If I'm Red Bull, Yuki was fired yesterday. And
I have to imagine that in the next month we will know who sits in that second seat for Red Bull. Like they will announce.
I think we already know. I think the conversation is now about who gets the RB seat.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm imagining if Red Bull announces the second seat, they'll also at the same time announce the Racing Bulls lineup as well.
Yeah,
because that's the only.
I think that's the
thing
delay.
We don't know.
Because I mean, Yuki's out of contract, so they don't even have to fire him. They just have to not sign him to a new deal, which I just don't think is going to happen. There's no point. There's no financial interest to do it. There's no any other interest to do it.
And there's no gain in any type of the way. You're just losing races, losing money, and getting crashed cars.
Yeah. At that point, if that's all you're going to get, may as well bring up Lemblad because at least he has pace. He's fucking chaotic.
I think Alex Dunn has a better chance of coming to Racing Bulls than Lemblad does this season.
That's already been completely thrown out.
Really?
Yeah, so they have no
Alex
interest
Dunn just
in him.
Left McLaren for
Red Bull has no interest in Dunn.
So he just nuked his career for what?
A big thing for Dunn was his penalty points. He's very close to a race ban.
So just don't drive like an asshole.
Well, I don't think they're very confident that he can. And if they want a driver that's fast and chaotic, they have Lemblad, who at times has been faster than Dunn and is also just as chaotic, but he's theirs.
So yeah, it's gonna be. I think
it's gonna be Lemblad. It just makes too much sense. He's young. He's raw. And I think Hadger might have actually helped the case for Lemblad because they didn't want to bring Hadger in. Hadger was kind of like I hope he's good enough. And now he's their second best driver. So I think the fact that like, okay, we had some doubts about this guy and we gave him a chance. I think that's going to help Lemblad's case a little bit.
Yeah. So we're going on record saying it's Lemblad Lawson for Racing Bulls and Max and Hadjar for Red Bull.
I'm not 100% convinced on the Lawson thing.
Really? Who else would they bring up to?
I think that's the challenge. Is they have a couple of guys who might. I'd like to see Soloff, but I don't think that's going to happen. I
I
don't
just
think he's
like.
shown enough.
I think if you're gonna bring somebody young like Lindblad in, you need someone who has some experience alongside him.
I agree. I'm just a little worried about Lawson. He's had a lot of incidents, man. Not all have been his fault, but he's really aggressive, and I think he's got to tone some of that down.
I mean, I would be aggressive too if I was replaced and the driver I was replaced with sucks worse than I do.
Yeah, but
Like,
he's a driver that's kind of meant for GT cars because he loves a little bit of banging and moving somebody out of the way, and he's gonna have to rein that in a little bit. But
I mean,
he
at
is
this point,
fast.
I think at this point it's a little too late to rein it in. But
Nah, I don't think so. Max was aggressive as shit his first couple years. Sometimes it just takes.
A little too late for this season.
Oh yeah. But the focus is on next year. That is the one reason why I do think they'll keep Lawson. Is you want going into new regs, you don't want two new drivers. And I honestly think that's
And
why
two
they
new
were trying to
cars.
keep Yuki, is because they didn't want to bring new people in at all. But Yuki's just been terrible.
I agree with that.
On to some terrible, not terrible. Had an eventful weekend for the rookies. And for the sake of argument, we are including Lawson into the rookies because it's his first full season. No, technically not a rookie, but if F1 keeps listing him on the broadcast as a rookie, we're just going to use him as a rookie.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So,
starting off that part of the conversation of the rookies, where did Alonso finish?
Alonso and Max had a fun little fight. They had a nice little battle that I thought was kind of cool. It didn't last very long, but it's kind of nice just watching Max and Alonso battle a bit on track because we don't see that much often. So it's kind of cool to see, like, Max is even that aggressive against his friends.
Yeah, so to start off with the rookies, Alonso finished 14th.
Really? He finished that far down?
Yeah. Yuki finished behind him.
Well, duh.
Lance Stroll finished one position ahead of Yuki. Colapinto didn't finish last, so that's good.
And just a miracle he didn't wreck in both sessions.
Yeah, and Yuki technically finished last because he finished 17th, but Leclerc got crashed out in turn 1 of the first lap. Hammy ran into the back of, was it
Hammy did a bunch of dumb stuff. First, he ran into the side of somebody, got spun, and then rear-ended Colapinto. He messed up his floor on the first incident, and then messed up his wing on the next incident.
Yeah, and then Gabby
bad
didn't
weekend for
finish
him
either. So
Gabby had a bad weekend.
Gabby had a wicked weekend.
He had the run-in with Lawson, which, whatever, racing incident. I kind of blame on both guys. Lawson was adventurous in that move, trying to line up for an outside pass, but at the same time, Gabby probably shouldn't have pushed him into the grass. But
probably not. Yeah, I guess we'll since we're talking about Gabby, we can start with him. He had a hard weekend. Yeah. It was his home GP in the sprint race. The last lap of the race, he demolished his car.
Did you see if they ever formally announced if it was a DRS failure?
I did not see, but his DRS was open.
Yeah,
because it was on the straight.
Yeah,
and They registered that crash at 57G.
Which for reference, Max's wreck with Lewis at Silverstone, where he flew into the tires and went to the hospital, was 51. So this was 6 more G's than the Max crash at Silverstone. It was violent. It was
Yeah,
vicious.
that car did not exist.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if you've seen the fan video from the grandstands. It's bad.
Mm-hmm.
It
Oh
it
yeah.
it's scary.
I mean, I was at work watching it, and the because we share like a space, like it's like a hallway between us, and the person that was working next door came over because I went, "Oh shit!" so loud that it scared her.
It was a really really rough wreck. I was glad he was okay because it didn't look like he should have been.
Yeah. So he started out the weekend with that sprint race crash on the last lap. Didn't get to qualify because they didn't have his car put together, and that's even after qualifying was delayed. And then crashes out during the GP.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It's his home race. I really wanted to see him do good there, or at least stay in the race. His whole family was there. But the one thing that I'm really grateful for to see is that given all of that, he was still in like the post race media still pretty like optimistic and like not too down on it, which is that was really nice to see.
Well, and he's got a lot of good people in his corner. He has some people around him that are good human beings, and I think that helps. Like he is surrounded by really good drivers and really good people who have been through a lot. Like when your two closest people in the sport are Alonso and Max, the experience and mental strength that exists between those two guys as two very big parts of your circle is phenomenal. Then you have another teammate who has an incredible amount of experience and has been through everything and they get on well. And then you have guys like Bonato involved who have been through so much. And you have Wheatley who has been through so much.
And also been a part of a championship winning
Yeah,
team.
but also been part of a lot of failings and a lot of things going wrong. You know, you're talking about guys who have experienced great seasons and have experienced big disappointments, including some that they caused. Like as we were talking before, Max was reckless early in his career. Alonso made career decisions that hurt him. Hulkenberg, had this history of messing up podiums. Famous in a way that he could relate directly to, crashing out from third place in his home Grand Prix in Germany with a chance of his first ever podium there. Like, so you're talking about guys who have experienced a lot that are in his corner and believe heavily in this kid. And that's why sometimes who surrounds an athlete is some of the most important elements to their success. Like, and I don't think that can be understated for a young guy to keep their mentality up.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder how Colapinto would be if he had the same kind of people in his corner.
And that's the difference in how teams are run. Look at how Sauber's run versus how Alpine's run.
I
The
mean, Sauber
support
put
that
in a
they give.
lot. They put a lot of money and resources into bringing in good people like Bonotto and
Yeah.
Wheatley.
Well, and it's the care they give drivers versus some of the old school BS that Alpine tries to pull and wonders why they fail so often. There is an extreme difference in how those two teams are managed, and it's why you have a lot more faith in one than the other. You have Alpine who's getting Mercedes engines next year which are usually at least good. And Sauber's becoming Audi, which is creating their own. And I still have more faith in that project than I do Alpine using good Mercedes engines. That says how bad the culture is at Alpine and why guys like Franco struggle so much.
Even Pierre
Yeah.
Gasly struggles,
Yeah.
and Pierre's been around. He used to race for Red Bull.
Yeah. And the
Um,
only tracks you really get to see Pierre's skill are tracks like Brazil that are so much based on driver skill and ability and not as much the car.
and he
And anytime
barely
you see a
finished in
track like that,
points.
yeah. But he looked amazing all weekend. He punched way above his weight all weekend and showed why he's still a great driver.
Yeah, so Colapinto definitely, those are the only two like minuses we have for the rookies this weekend.
Yeah, we
Colapinto just
talked
didn't
about
do very
Lawson
good.
and Hadger already. Now I
But
want to get to
there's one. We'll get to Kimmy last. But
yeah.
again, we're
There's
gonna
two
give.
that I think need mention. One that keeps flying under the radar, and I'm tired of people flying under the radar about. Ollie
Behrman.
Behrman is ridiculously good.
Oh yeah, he's gotten points the last 4 races.
He is
GPs.
dragging Haas up the constructors.
Yeah.
Every day, it looks more and more like we need to get this dude in a Ferrari soon.
I was actually thinking about that yesterday. Well, and more today, actually. It would be not. It wouldn't really be shocking if Lewis left Ferrari after next season and they brought Behrman up.
But well, and that's what I was talking about them not wanting to do the contract extension with Lewis. I wouldn't either. You can get Behrman for cheaper, and he's been better. Like the fact is, look, people thought Behrman was good. This isn't new. Like he subbed in for Ferrari and scored points. That was really impressive. He was amazing when given the opportunity. And his opportunities to fill in races are what led to him getting the Haas seat. And all he's done since he's got the Haas is outperform a driver that we all look. Ocon may be a bit of a dick, but he's a good driver. And all he has done is consistently outperform Ocon towards the end of this year. And I think it's going to let Ferrari play more hardball with Lewis and even with Leclerc on like, all right, if you don't believe in the project, we got this kid. Because he's legit. And I wonder if Cadillac is regretting not bringing him. Because there was some talk about that because Cadillac's using the Ferrari engines for the first few years. There was some talk about would they want someone like a Behrman. And I wonder if they're starting to regret that they didn't. That they went for 2 old heads instead of bringing in 1 fast driver. Because I'm saying, looking at it now, I feel like having an experienced driver in Behrman would have been better for Cadillac.
Oh, 100%.
And Haas has no control over that because he's
on loan.
He's a Ferrari driver that Haas is getting to have. Ferrari can change that agreement anytime they want to. Obviously, there's some financial implications to that, but still.
I mean, Ferrari's rich; they're fine.
Yeah, and
I mean,
it's just been impressive because we know that Haas isn't great. It's an average car. But he's routinely throwing
that's giving him way too much credit.
I mean, it's not a horrible car. It's consistent. It's consistently mid-pack. I feel like they don't have such as big of swings as Sauber and even like Aston and Williams have. Like it feels like those cars have pretty big swings weekend to weekend. where the Haas always feels like right on the edge of points, and if things go right, they get in the points. Or if they have someone doing amazing things like what Behrman has been doing the last few weeks, they get in the points. Like they're not running at the back routinely. They're running right on that edge of points. So they're firmly in the midfield and pretty steady in it.
And honestly, like I said, the last 4 races always had points.
Including some impressive battles with really good drivers.
Yeah, he was battling Max at one point.
Oh, yeah. Still, that overtake on Max at Mexico he did, I'm still... It wasn't like the move itself was anything crazy because Max opened himself up. It's the confidence to be like, I'm just going to throw one up the inside of Max and we're going to see if we can get through this corner. And I'm going to keep my foot in it. Like, just the balls to keep your foot in on the outside of Max Verstappen. Not a lot of people have that. And I think he might have earned some respect from Max for that because Max actually gave him a decent amount of racing room in that. I think he might have earned some respect for how he approached that situation with Max, where it's just like, yo, I got the chance. I got to take it. I have to try. And he wasn't reckless. And I think that's the important thing is he is fast without being reckless. Where maybe earlier in the year he was a little bit more reckless, but you can tell he learns fast. I think that's the big thing about him is you can see how we've been talking about guys like Yuki and even to a point Lawson, even though Lawson has gotten better, and Franco. Some of these guys, you can't really see their improvement race by race. It's very haphazard. Yeah. Whereas Behrman, I feel like you can see his growth pretty clearly.
Yeah, it's definitely been on like an upward trajectory pretty much from the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and he just impresses me. And then the other impressive one, Antonelli. What a weekend.
It's absolute banger of a weekend for Antonelli.
Yeah.
2 P2 finishes.
And look, not all tracks are equal. Doing this at Brazil makes you look better than doing it some other places. That's just a fact of life. There are certain tracks that people look at and they know the driver makes the difference. And Brazil is one of those tracks. And he was in an accident and still finished second.
He was 5 seconds ahead of George.
And fought off Max at the end with a brilliant defense. His defense was great. He did all the things at the right time and was able to throw dirty air on Max at the right time in the last 2 laps. The way that he exited the corner, put extra dirty air crossing Max, and both times Max had a little wiggle at the back end that let him not be able to overtake with DRS. That's smart driving. That's using things to your advantage. Incredibly smart driving.
Super
another guy that I'm just immensely impressed. What a weekend. Like, just what an incredible weekend from him.
Who?
Antonelli, fool. The person we're talking about.
Oh. I thought the way you said it made it sound like there was somebody else. And I was like,
no.
What, Jack Doohan?
No. I think Jack Doohan got more laps in than Colapinto.
Also true.
But just this rookie class, man. This is a really special rookie class. The fact that there's only one in this entire rookie class that I would consider a disappointment this year. I feel like Franco's the only one who you can just be like, yeah, bad year. Yeah. Lawson has been back and forth. I would put him like this year's probably like a 6 for him, a 5 or 6. Everybody else, like Gabby, great year. The points haven't showed it, but he's shown that he has the pace to hang. and that he has the skill set. He needs to refine it and have a car that's not so crazy. But then Hadger, amazing. His performance is going to get him a Red Bull seat. Behrman is now the next guy up at Ferrari. I think that's just an accepted fact at this point that when there's a Ferrari vacancy, it is probably going to Ollie Behrman.
And honestly, it might not be that far off in the future.
And now Antonelli is looking like he could come in the next year and be a serious challenge for Russell. He looks really impressive towards the end of this year. And it's this rookie class, when you look at it, is phenomenal.
It really is.
And I really think it requires acknowledging, like, these dudes have really held their own in a very competitive F1 grid.
It makes me excited.
Yeah, it does, because we don't know what's going to happen next year and who's going to have a fast car and who's not. And you don't know which of these rookie guys could get pushed into a championship situation. Like, there is no real way to tell what the running order is going to be next year, other than the fact that I think we can all believe that Alpine isn't going to be a top team. That's about the only thing that I am willing to bet a substantial amount of money on. There is no way Alpine's winning a championship.
No.
But outside of Alpine, I could make an argument for nearly every F1 team being a top 3 team. There is not a single team on the grid, and I will include Haas in that doesn't have the opportunity to be a top team. I would even say Cadillac coming in. I know that sounds crazy, but let's not forget Haas had a good first year.
And Cadillac's had time.
And Cadillac has some good people around it and some people who have done this before.
And for the last 4 or 5 races, they've been doing simulations during those races.
They are doing everything you can to build something that has a chance. And I'm not saying they're going to step right out and be great, but we don't know what team is going to get these regs right, what engine manufacturer is going to get these regs right. Maybe Ferrari produces an amazing engine and battery system, and it's Ferrari-powered cars at the top. Oh, that puts Haas in there. That puts Cadillac in there. If Red Bull and Ford absolutely kill the engine regs, now you have the 2 Red Bull teams close to the top. If it's Mercedes that gets it right, well, now you're looking at Mercedes, McLaren. We're not going to count Alpine because they don't count. But maybe Honda gets it and Aston Martin is at the top. Audi could nail it and they're at the top. Like, there could be an argument made for every team outside of Alpine for how they get to the top, or at least in the top 3. Because all it takes is getting the engine regs right.
Watch Alpine just prove you so wrong.
You know why I don't think they will?
Why?
Because if Mercedes gets the engine right, it's McLaren and Mercedes who are going to benefit. I still don't think Alpine can build a car. Everybody else, it's a little bit of a different situation. If Ferrari get the engine regs right, it's definitely them at the front with Haas and Cadillac. Maybe one of them build a bit of the car. But it's important because this is going back to what we had pre-Verstappen winning the title. Well, I guess in 2021 we had it under these rigs. But these are an engine-heavy reg. the engine and the battery system are going to matter more than anything. Once we switched in 2022, it was all about the car. The engine didn't really matter that much. Now we're going back to engines. The engines are going to matter more than the aerodynamics. You want to have a good car, but if you have a bad engine, you're going to suck.
Yeah.
So whoever's at the front of the field, it's going to depend a lot on the engine. And whoever nails these engine rigs, that's who's at the front. And we could see one of these rookies fighting for a championship next year, which would be incredible.
That would be amazing. It'd be cool if it was Hadger coming up to Red Bull and then Red Bull just dominating.
I mean, I would not have any complaints about that.
I wouldn't either, honestly.
I think some of the F1 world would. Like, oh, Jesus, Max again. Though, before we go, I do want to bring one thing up. The fans have fully turned on Lando Norris. 100%.
Which is crazy.
Because they decided to drown out his national anthem with the do-do-do-do Max Verstappen song. They drowned out the entire national anthem ceremony singing for Max Verstappen.
Who was on podium. So
But
at least there's that.
they were doing it the whole weekend. And it has been a
True.
routine thing of Lando getting boos and Max getting cheered. The fans have really fully turned on Lando Norris. And it's crazy to watch because it's not because he's winning everything. It's because of him. Whereas Max and Lewis, when fans turned on them at points, it was just because they were winning everything and people were tired of seeing them. Lando has somehow managed to go from the good guy everybody liked to the guy everybody wants to watch lose.
You know, my friend Tony is saying he hates Piastri. He calls him pastry.
I think Piastri needs to develop some more balls.
Yeah. I think he needs to not be so reserved. He needs to let some wildness out a little bit.
He Mark Webber'd away his own championship the way Mark Webber lost his to Vettel.
Which is ironic because his manager's Mark Webber.
Yeah. Maybe get some advice from somebody else because apparently Webber doesn't even know how to win people who aren't him a championship. And that's sad to see. But fact is, if you let your team bully you into letting your teammate get stuff, eventually your teammate's just going to get those things. That's what happened to Webber. He had one time to win a championship. Pissed it away and never got it again. And let's be real, going into next year, who's the number one driver at McLaren? It ain't Oscar.
No.
Because if Lando wins the title, like it looks like he's going to, Lando is the number one driver. And even if Oscar gets ahead of him on points, Lando will still be the number one driver. Because they've already proved that doesn't matter. This was his chance to change the narrative, and he didn't.
Yep.
Seems like a good place to end. We got a week off before the triple header to end the season. So I'm really expecting an announcement on Red Bull this week. So I think we're going to be talking about that Wednesday. Or the lack of that on Wednesday.
We also have some changes that maybe we'll discuss a little bit of.
Yeah. I think some of that conversation is going to happen next week during the week where we'll explain to you guys what next season of the podcast will look like and might even do a preview of it this season. Starting.
Big things are coming, guys.
Yeah. But actual big things that are fun and to make everything a little bit more enjoyable, not just for you guys, but us too. So we're going to start next week letting you guys behind the curtain on what's going on and what the future holds and the cool things that we're changing and some updates and all the fun stuff that we have for our second season of covering F1 full time. So want to thank everybody so much for hanging out. we're not at the end of the season yet, but I think it's important to mention this is our passion and this is fun. And we love sitting here chatting to you guys every week about our favorite thing. So we appreciate everyone who tunes in. We know there's a lot of options out there. So anyone who chooses to tune in to us, we're really thankful.
I agree with that 100%.
For the F1 Downcast, I am Kalen.
And I'm Tyler.
See you guys next week.